Well, first of all, this is my cluttered backyard. As you can tell, summer is over and it's now winter. It's cold outside. I'm wearing a jacket because I have to. I think it's something like 35 degrees out here. But we're talking about the budget filmmaker. We're talking about the guy who does not have a lot of money, but he does want to make videos. That's what we're talking about. And quite frankly, I encourage him to do that. I do. So, this is my cluttered backyard, and what I did was I painted one of the walls green so that I could use it as a green screen. Do you understand? So, you know what my backyard looks like, but to the audience, as I talk to them, they don't know. And the purpose of a green screen, of course, is that you can use any background you wish. Now, a couple of things. What you need to do is to go to the internet and find out what color green is compatible with Chroma key. That's very important. You can't just use any green. And if you're going to paint a wall, which I suggest, because it's cheap, and you can do your green screen outdoors. A couple of things, though, I must tell you about. When you do a chroma key or green screen outdoors, make sure that it's a heavy overcast day, like today. Heavy overcast. That way, there are very little shadows. Save you in buying lights. Right? After all, we're talking about the frugal filmmaker. The second thing is you want to separate where you're sitting from the green screen. If you should see a close-up of the green screen, what you see is a lot of flaws, because I'm not a very good painter. I don't paint very well. So I separate me from the background. The background is fuzzy, it makes no difference. It just so happened that I like to use a green screen because I can use anything I want. Quite often, I will go into nature and make videos, and I'll use that as my background. And when I go into nature, I tend to meditate and I think about things. For example, here's the thing. The other day I was at the Norfolk Botanical Garden and I was sitting in one of their benches. The Norfolk Botanical Garden is a wonderful place to visit because they have benches everywhere, and you simply sit and contemplate the mysteries of life. While sitting on one of their benches, I thought about two things. I thought about me and how to make me better. And the two things that I thought about is, number one, what I ought to do is recognize my flaws, and in recognizing my flaws, spend a week making the necessary corrections. Also, I need to recognize the flaws in others, not to be judgmental, but to apply their flaws to myself and ask myself, are you guilty of these things? Two things came to mind. One, gossiping. I think a lot of people do that. They like to gossip, but it's not a very good thing. Because here's the problem with gossiping. You're repeating what you don't know anything about, number one, and you're belittling another human being based upon usually false assumptions. So you ask yourself, let's assume that you think gossiping is a problem with you. So what you want to do is solve the problem of gossiping. In other words, make a very conscious effort never to say anything to anyone about somebody else that you could not tell them yourself. Another problem, I think, is looking at people based upon your perception of them. The other day I was in a meeting, and here I am. I walked into a meeting, and this lady thought that I was a helper, the laborer, you know, the handyman. And she thought, perhaps in her position of authority, or what she presumed to be authority, it is okay to say that. Now, I was not bothered by it because her perception of me will almost always say more about her than about me. In other words, she sees people that look like me, and she will automatically assume that they are in a position of less importance. What does that say about her? Certainly doesn't have anything to do with me. I know who I am, and I'm very happy with who I am. So I simply affirmed, oh yeah, I am the laborer, I am the handyman, and I walked out. Now you may say, gee, you're being dishonest. Why didn't you correct her? Because I didn't think she was worth it. I want to talk about something else. Speaking about green screens and being creative. One of the things that I do, and this is my personal discipline, is I try to create something each and every day. Even whether it's a sentence, maybe a paragraph, maybe just shooting pictures outdoors. I try to create something each and every day. And I got to tell you, it has done wonders with my perception of myself. I think it's a wonderful habit to get into. Now, finally, I want to remind you of something. Have you ever had a near-death experience? Now, this is going to sound very odd, but perhaps it is one of the best things that can ever happen to you. Because whether or not there's a heaven or a hell is totally irrelevant. What happens is you take stock in yourself. What have I done with my life? What have I done? What have I contributed to the world? How kind have I been to people around me? And those are the things that are important. Okay, I'm finished. I just want to remind you that if you're going to do green screen, don't wear anything green. Thank you so very much for listening, and I hope you'll continue to watch the series on being a frugal filmmaker. Next time, I will talk about music and the different sources for music for your video.